So this question of spiritual authority is where I base my my practice of, in fact, inventing my own practices. Eric talked about the spiritual marketplace, and often the idea of putting together your own practice, the kind of mix and match, bricolage method of putting together this and that is critiqued as the spiritual supermarket, particularly American or North American way of going about things. But in fact, this has a very old tradition. This is what folk religion is. This is what people doing folk religion, basically people practicing, have been doing since time immemorial. And in an age when we have access to so many different kinds of practices, different kinds of teachers, different kinds of experiences, this is simply drawing from a wider range. It's kind of I think of it as a postmodern folk religion. And especially for people like me or like Eric, who didn't grow up in a tradition, there is, in a sense, no easy road to authenticity. Even if I'm undertaking a Zen practice, as I have, I've chosen it. You know, already implicit is the choice of the supermarket. So, especially for more anti-authoritarian types, and I think probably most of us fall into that category, the idea of taking on your own practice, of taking the spiritual authority and putting something together yourself and saying, well, nobody else can validate my experience. Nobody else is going to say, yeah, you did that meditation correctly, or, well, did you see the 8-armed? No, then you weren't there. You know, I mean, you know, and I don't mean to undercut that experience. I think these traditions have great power. I mean, I think going into them, we really encounter the depth and wisdom of people through great ages. But I think there's also power in taking something onto yourself. So what I'm going to talk about now is just a little bit about what I have experienced as the steps toward crafting a practice. And then I'm going to talk about a particular practice I crafted rather a long time ago that continues to be a part of my life. So the steps to evolving a personal practice. The first thing is really identifying where you encounter the sacred. You look around and you see people making practices out of all sorts of things. Prayer and meditation, yeah, certainly, but also painting or, you know, hula hooping, you know, marriage as a practice. I mean, where is it that you encounter the sacred? Where is it that you feel meaning? That's the place where you start. And then establish an initial practice. Decide what your practice is going to be. You can take something from some other tradition, put those things together, come up with something regular, something that has meaning for you. And it could be a pretty basic thing. The point is to something that you'll, and it's like Jenny Pell was saying, you know, start small, don't make some grandiose, you know, pronouncement for yourself. Establish yourself a practice, and then commit to it, and that's very important. You know, in the same way that I talked earlier about playing piano, often it's awkward at the beginning. When you're learning the practice, you don't know how to do it yet, thus the practice part. So even if something feels awkward, to dive into it and allow it to expand really will yield something. And then that's the last part, is to allow it to take its shape over time, maintaining your initial intention and some of the actions from your initial practice. That's very important. But then allowing things that come in to influence what you're doing, allowing it to grow and evolve and take on more meaning, like a relationship with a lover.